Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
Today we're revisiting the classic and iconic anime Speed Racer.
Go, go, Speed Racer. Okay. In our original podcast, we had only seen a handful of episodes of the show, but recently, after I got this as a birthday or Christmas gift for Rascal, we were able to watch all 52 episodes of the anime, and now we can give our review of the entire series as Rascal laughs hysterically, and we barely make it through.
And before we start laughing again, be sure to like, subscribe, and notification bell updates of future podcasts and all the pause videos.
Absolutely. And before we start, we gotta say, this is not a joke anime. It's just that it being one of the first of its kind, and the animation was new, and all these things were very new to the people doing it. There are some hilarious moments, like in the original Voltron, with some animation errors, with some plot holes and different things. But we take it as a serious contribution to anime, and actually it's one of America's first shows that we got to see.
Right.
And it actually ran for decades as reruns through the late 90s.
Right.
So it ensured that many generations are familiar with Speed Racer.
Right.
So now that we've got that part over, and if you haven't seen our original podcast, there's a card that is attached so you can listen to that one as well.
Right. And in our original one, we only covered maybe a handful of episodes, because at the time, that's all we had seen on a DVD we found at a store.
Right.
So we ended up seeing maybe the middle section of the series. And it was still funny, but now we got the whole story with all 52 episodes.
And I remember when I watched it as a kid, they only had the same episodes over and over and over. As I said, it was in syndication, and I couldn't understand why there were the same episodes over and over. To me, at that time, it seemed like Speed Racer was a short series.
Right.
It only had 1,100 episodes, and while we were watching the same ones, it was a great show. It was good for kids. And then we started watching this show, and like, holy cow, now I know why all this crap that goes on in the series was not suitable for TV for children.
Yes, people get blown up every single episode. Someone gets blown up, tied up, drowned, crash out from the sky, get thrown into a river, get mutilated, run over by a train, run over by a horse, poison, something. It's like, how do people love racing in this show other than Speed? He should just go ahead and win everything. No one survives the end of the race at this point.
This was the first anime I can think of when people say anime is for kids. No, this one isn't.
Right.
It's really not meant for kids. So I think what they did was pick the most calmest ones, the ones that had the least amount of violence.
Right.
Which really was a difficult task, because after seeing all 52 episodes, almost every single one had all these things going on. Speed he was a badass, and he didn't play, and he drove all around the world, and he was followed by his family everywhere.
Right.
And it was just like, this was not really a kid's
apparently
show.
he was a sharpshooter too when he nailed the bad guys.
He could do everything. He was like Bakugo. All of a sudden there was some new skill. It's like, when did he do that? When did he do that? The first one that we kind of got, because Pops was a wrestler, is he knew all these wrestling moves. Okay, that made sense. But like you said, the sharpshooter and all these other things.
Deep swimmer. He could know, astrophysics. It's like he had a new talent every single day.
It's like, how old are you? Aren't you like 20 or 21? Where did you get all this stuff from? It's not on the internet.
Right? There's no internet yet.
But somehow Speed Racer was like the James Bond of anime. And he had Trixie, who traveled with him. And at the time, when I watched it, they appear to be teens. And when we watched it on the first DVD we had with selected episodes, we were under the impression that Speed and Trixie were teenagers. And we were like, why are they in the hotel room sleeping together they're traveling by themselves.
Yeah.
And then when we saw this, like, oh, they're not teens, they're adults.
Yeah, it was like, oh, that makes sense now. Then the next question was, where are Trixie's parents?
Yes.
You never saw them. She just was always with Speed all the time. I mean, that's great. She was like family to them. That's wonderful. But where are your parents still? It's like, you keep nearly getting killed every week. Where are your parents?
And Trixie also had issues like Holly. Every time some pretty woman came around, Trixie was jealous. Trixie was watching Speed. It was like, oh, Trixie.
And they go, calm down.
Yeah.
And after, you know what? And the thing was, Speed really wasn't looking at any other girl. He only had eyes for Trixie. He never cheated. He never looked at another girl. When he was helping another girl, he really meant it because a lot of the times they were in danger, someone with their family. And once she saw that, then she calmed down and helped him help them. And it was like, you need to calm down. He literally refused to look at anybody else, no matter what part of the world he's at.
The only thing he had eyes for was Trixie and the car.
Yep, that's it.
That was that.
But Trixie, she got to flirt over a prince. It was like, okay, so it's fine when you do it, but you gotta keep him on lockdown.
When she was locked
Like
up, yeah, she was like, oh.
A prince, then when he was like 2 feet tall, and it was over.
Yeah.
It was like, wait, so you
Nothing
can
like
do
she
it?
pictured. It's
Right,
like in full middle house, picturing
right?
dead.
Who are you? Who is this? So you're like, oh, it's okay for you. So,
Now, one of the things that stood out as odd, especially when you're seeing something that took place this far back, was what, 59? I think
so.
Came
Yeah,
out,
and it was supposed to take place in the future or something.
You saw the mom, and she was dressed like the mom's dressed during that time, where they had on the pretty clothes and the makeup and the hair, and she seemed really interested and to know as much as they did, and really cheered. What was odd was she appeared in the first episode, and then she didn't come back till the second to last episode when they had this race around the world. It was like, what the hell? What the heck happened to the mom?
Yeah,
Where
what
she
happened?
For 50 episodes, she wasn't there. For the first episode, for 49 episodes, she wasn't there. For the first episode and the last 2.
Right.
And when she went to the races, she still had on that same green dress.
Right.
And apron
Do you have clothes?
in the stands.
And you know, now it makes sense why when they did the live action movie, the mom had a much bigger role.
Yes,
clearly, the writers thought she really didn't do much in the show. Let's give her more of a focus in here. Not where it's all about her, but how, you know, how much impact she has on Speed. So they really amped up the role when they did the movie. So now we see why. There was nothing to do in the show.
And that was a good move because, as we mentioned, in the 3 episodes she was in, she's into racing. She's into everything that they do. She's knowledgeable. She's not just someone who stayed at home and cooked food and that's it. They made her intelligent and knowledgeable and into everything her family was into. So it was then the reason to us that she should have been in more 3 episodes. But she wasn't, so that was something that stood out as really odd. Now we can get to Chim Chim and Spritle.
Who kept sneaking in the trunk every single episode, didn't learn their lesson. They nearly get shot at every episode by these criminals that seem to pop up everywhere they go. And it's like, oh, it's me, we came with you. It's like, why don't you stay at home? Just stay at home.
Because they had a very heavy candy addiction. Anybody could get them to do anything for some candy, even raise their eggs. Who's his brother Steve, but his brother, who he really doesn't know is his brother.
Rex, yeah.
Yes, Rex. And he wanted them to give Speed a message, and he says, here's some candy. Oh, I'll do it. And this endless supply of candy that kept taking out of the head. You could get them to do anything for candy, including switch places with his look-alike, who was a prince, which now is a trope, but back then wasn't a trope. It was actually something different.
Right.
And he switched places for candy.
Right.
And they didn't want Chim Chim to be with him. They just left Chim Chim, threw him out the car.
Right.
Super monkey. He was like Down Emperor Monkey with Dexter. He kept up with the car.
And the other guy pointed out the locations. It looks like when they had the first season, they kept it pretty basic where they were in a desert all the time. They were like in one place, and they have a desert or mountains with these giant races. But when it gets to about season 2, they actually show they're in a city. They're not just living in the middle of nowhere with a garage and a racetrack. But they actually do live in a big city. Almost every episode they show you this really big metropolis. They go to different places around the world. And they actually show various locations back when they took the time to draw different locations. So it was actually interesting to see how they updated between seasons and add more variety to the world. I thought that was actually really interesting to see. It wasn't just them in a desert like the Next Generation series almost made it like.
Yes, definitely. And another thing is there were some episodes that got pretty dark where you actually had characters who died.
Yeah.
And they were in trouble and Speed would try to help, but unfortunately they would end up coming to a tragic end. And we were really surprised that there were not just one of these episodes, there were multiple episodes throughout the series. And another thing that we did notice is in the beginning, there were lots of two-part episodes.
Right, but once it got to later half of season 2, they started just being singular episodes. They only say 2-parters or 3-parters when they were big arcs or events. Like when they say for the 2 to 3-parter for the final episodes of the series.
Yes. But I have to say that it was so much fun watching. The main reason is because Rascal kept laughing so hard. We didn't get through one episode of the series without her pausing it like 50 billion times, rewinding 50 billion times. What should have taken us probably a few weeks to get through, it took us almost a month to watch the series because of the constant laughing and rewinding and freezing and rewinding and laughing. But it was so much fun watching it. And it's a series that if you haven't seen, it's really a great testament to anime and what it set out to be in the very beginning. And it's a great way, if you've never seen any anime, even though it's an older series, by decades, at least 50 years or more, well, over 50 years, it's a great one to watch because you get to see what the creators of the genre had in mind for the entertainment they wanted to give people and the different genres that were available. I mean, we have not seen a racing anime since Speed Racer.
Right, and I'm surprised they haven't got a
really,
reboot.
Exactly, and one that really caught the attention of people around the world, where people actually absolutely love the character. And for here, the dub was voiced by Peter Fernandez, and he was also in the Next Generation series as well.
Right.
But he did a great job in voicing this character. It's unique and different, and he stands out. And he gave the character the persona. It needed to have a charisma. The character needed to have charisma. He had it somehow through his voice acting. He gave that, and he had some funny parts too. When he would go, oh. And real strange faces to the action that was going on. He did a fantastic job, and it's no wonder that people still, all these decades later, still remember him, still think he's one of the greatest voice dubbers for the anime that has ever been.
Right. And there's definitely one more thing I want to bring up, because you were just talking about, you know, the voices and the expressions and stuff. This also came with the visuals, because it looks like maybe there's some things that were taken out if they did show some other episodes on TV. Maybe they censored them or just added them out of TV altogether. There's one episode where someone wanted some ransom money. They didn't want to give it, but eventually they did. And they were about to, like, leave them in a house fire or something.
Yeah.
And they had the money in a briefcase. And then the guy that had the briefcase, he actually ended up throwing it by accident because stuff started blowing up for like the billionth time, because cars blow up all the time. And then there was this one part that was just hilarious. The case opened up, even though it was supposed to be locked, it opened up, and then the money literally flew out of there, one bill at a time, up, all the way to the fire. Like, there's no oxygen in the fire. How is it flying over there? Hey, where's that money? Where's it going? It's burning up. It's like, the money shouldn't be flying. It's in fire. It's no wind.
Fire goes and continues by burning the oxygen. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's like, how
it was magic money.
Yeah, the money's just flying. What the heck?
But this is one of the great classic animes you gotta see. So if you haven't seen it, it's still for sale on Amazon. One complete series package that consists of how many discs?
I think about 6 discs.
And the quality, you've got to remember, this is from the late 50s, and the quality is being remastered, so it looks pretty good even for being for so far back.
Right.
I don't recall that it's available in any streaming service, so if you want to see it, you're going to have to buy it. But if you have seen Speed Racer, either because you watched it as a kid or you grew up watching it in syndication and reruns like I did, or like we did to get to see the complete season, we bought it online. Let us know what you think in the comments below.
And be sure to like, subscribe, and notification with the updates on future podcasts and World of Paws videos.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm Mask Entertainment.
I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go!